Hey guys, Rich from Richmond Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Back for the first episode of the Weekly Bugle of 2022, joined by the one, the only, Quinn Duggan. Quinn, how the hell are you doing, sir?
I'm mildly sleepy.
Somebody's just woken up. Probably still only just waking up by the time this video goes out as well, sir.
I mean, yeah, probably.
So, Quinn, we got to the end of last year, and on the Weekly Bugle, we were talking about a lot of speculations, shall we say, off the backs of streams and everything else. No real official news from AMG other than the sort of Juggernaut and Colossus cards and things, which we'd, again, already seen. But we've had, I suppose, from an AMG perspective, some big news this week. They are off the back of some leaks that happened before Christmas. But before we get into that, we did have the official panel to play, didn't we, for Laura Kinney, aka X-23. Nothing's changed. It's exactly the same as it was previously. But I just thought I'd get your opinion on whether you think she's as good as you thought she was at killing things, really, after sort of having a bit more time to play with her.
I mean, Murder Lady is still Murder Lady, and Murder Lady good.
Well, I mean, my opinions have probably only gone up with the Quinn. I've played with her a couple of times now. As I'm no longer playing Brotherhood,
Why aren't you playing Brotherhood, Rich?
I'll show people what I'm currently repainting back up at the moment. All of my Guardians are getting a bit of a spruce up. Plus some extras on there as well with Bullseye and Ghost Rider. Eagerly waiting the release of X-23 and Honey Badger because they're going straight into my Guardians list. I think they work really, really well with Guardians. You know, you give either of these two a winging it token once they're up close and personal, and they get even better at murdering things, which is, really nice. It's worth pointing out as well, Quinn, it's not official AMG yet because we've not had her panel to play, but we did get the reverse card, didn't we, of Gabby as well. And there is a slight change in there. She goes from, I think, 5 stamina down to 4 stamina on her flip side. But nothing else changes. That remains exactly the same. So, Quinn, before we jump into the sort of big release of the week, which has been Nick Fury and his S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, let's talk quickly about the Quinjet that got revealed earlier this week as well, because there's something a little bit unique, isn't there, about the Quinjet, in that it is size X, which is quite interesting. Now, we've sort of pieced information together, haven't we, from what people have put on stream and messages, I think, from Schick commented on the stream as well, and a few other things, but it seems like size X is going to mean non-interactive, so you can't destroy it in any way, shape, or form, but you're still going to be able to overlap it, so you'll be able to put your characters on it, is what I'm kind of seeing from everything that I've read.
Yeah, and I feel like the main reasoning behind this is planes are a weird shape for this game. Like, there is space under wings.
So it'll be interesting. That's the one thing I'm really interested in, though, Quinn, is how that size X sort of breaks or works with the current rules of cover and line of sight and everything else. So it'll be interesting.
Obviously, we're going to need to know more about like the specifics of how size X works, but it's going to be really interesting to see which TOs are appropriately careful about the placement of size X terrain.
Yes, yeah, because that's the other thing.
There are going to be some real bad boards out there.
Yeah, if that's slapped in the middle or slapped in one corner, can cause problems.
Yeah, and like, so it's size X, but does it also have like an actual size in terms of like who can just walk on it and who can't? Because like,
yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and maybe that's the thing, is that it's X because it classes for certain things for certain things. So, it might be that it's a size 3 to climb upon, right? So that if you're size 3 or higher, you can walk over it. But in terms of cover, it's, size 5 or whatever, so that only you can only see Dormammu through it or something. So it's going to be, it's going to be really interesting as to how they do it. So Quinn, with that, let's talk about the man, the myth, the motherfucker himself, Nicholas Fury. These were revealed a little while back, weren't they, by one of the German local gaming stores. They put them on for pre-order. They actually got the wording wrong. They put him as Nick Fury Jr. Now, what's interesting is that on the box art, he's named as Nick Fury. In the wording, he's named as Nicholas Fury Jr. So it's going to be interesting as to the name that's on his card. I think
I mean, it might be both.
So you're thinking he could be Nick Fury, and then Nicholas J. Fury is... Nicholas Fury Jr. is his alias.
Fury or some shit, like, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember it, but yeah, okay, that's an interesting one actually. Maybe that is what they do.
I mean, I don't want old man Nick Fury because he's shit, but you know,
Hasselhoff is not my Fury. Samuel L. Jackson is my Fury. That's the way that I. That's the way that I see it.
Fury, you're really old. Stop being old.
So this was put on the German website, so we've known about it for a little while, along with some other packs. We're not going to cover them off today, but we are going to talk about CP55, and that is Nick Fury and the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Not the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. So there's a couple of things, Quinn. There's the pack itself, but then there is also what was discussed on the stream as well. So I'm going to run through, Quinn, the sort of tidbits that we've had, and then we'll talk about each of those individually and what we think about them. So the first thing to point out is that the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents are not minions. I mean, they are minions, but they are not being referred to as minions. They're being referred to as grunts. So that's the official terminology for them. And that's quite important because as we get into some of the other rules, you'll see that that's going to be a key word, and there's going to be some restrictions around that key word. So what do we know at the moment? Well, we know that they're going to be part of the parent character. So these are not going to be one threat characters that Sam can take and, you know, Sam spam all of a sudden becomes 11 activations on a 14 threat crisis. So they're going to be bound to the parent, and they're going to activate at the same time as the parent. So they're not giving you more activations, but they're going to be activating beforehand. So the grunt will go first, and then the parent that it's attached to, in this case Nick Fury, will then activate second as part of that activation. Now, Quinn, we don't yet know, do we, like what they are, you know, if they're going to have one action, two actions, if they're going to follow the same rules, like, but
what their specific capabilities are. Like, assumedly, they are going to have parts of sort of the character turn restricted from them, as in, like, they won't be able to do what every other character can do, right?
You would think so, yeah. You know, maybe it's things like interacting will cost an action, or
were specifically called out as being extract focused, I think.
Yes. So one of the rules is not all grunts. So that is alluding to the fact there will be more. So not all grunts can interact. However, it does look like the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents are going to be able to at least grab an objective, potentially interact with both extract and secure tokens as well.
I mean, I do really like the idea of just being like, right, S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, you know, you've gone through basic training, you've earned your badge. Go just hold that cosmic cube fragment, and I know one of you's gonna like die every round, but like it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
just an agent keeps. Are we gonna have to magnetize the bases and and take them off? So a little tidbit that we know is that if the parent is KO'd, then the grunt is also KO'd. Now, we don't know if the grunts have their own health pool or anything like that yet, Quinn, so we don't know if you can target the grunts separately and take them off the board before you take the parent off the board. It would seem strange if you couldn't, especially if they were holding an objective token or something like that. It'd seem a little bit overpowered if you had to take down Nick Fury before you could then take down the people holding the objective, because, you know, in my head, you could have them in the middle of the board and Nick all the way at the back of the board, making it really difficult. So I don't know if they're going to have their own health pool as well, but they will be taken off the board the moment the parents the parents gone.
I would assume that they do, simply because if they don't have a health pool, then that means you can't really attack them, I'd guess, which feels wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's got to be a way of taking them down, isn't there? Interesting one now is, and we don't know too much about this at the moment, but they're going to deploy at the beginning of the deployment. So they'll deploy alongside the parent. So whenever you put them out, and you'd assume, Quinn, wouldn't you, that it'll be, you know, within range X, right? Whether it's 1, whether it's 2. So when you deploy Nick Fury,
like a range 2 limitation.
Yeah.
Then again, like that requires you to have multiple range tools out during deployment, which you can't really do. Maybe
it's like during the power phase, a bit like a Magneto's constructs, which gets around that side of it. But they're good. So I think the key thing here is that you're going to deploy them at the beginning of the game. They're not going to be something that you call down mid-game. Yeah.
I have a feeling that there might not be a range specification, just because if it's like Magneto's constructs and you put them down within like a certain range of Fury, even if that's range 1, that would then allow them to go and get a midline extract and walk away, assuming a medium move.
Well, that's
the thing they want.
That's assuming a medium move. So it may be that they're not, because they are on a medium base. So it may be that they're not. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And then the one here, Quinn, that I'm really happy about is that a single player can only deploy or only have 1 unit of grunts on the board at any one time. So that means if you're taking Nick Fury with his S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and then you take another character that's released at some point in the future who also has grunts attached, you're not going to be able to deploy both sets of grunts. Now, whether that's going to be a limitation on you can't take the character as well, I don't think they would do that. But I gather you would just choose which set of grunts you want to take.
Which really intrigues me as to how integral they are to like their parent characters, like Hit.
Well, I gather it'll be, you know, I gather it'll be like anything else, won't it? Where they'll probably give some benefit, but it'll be down to, you know, if the individual character turns out to be really good, maybe they're really good without them. A little bit like sometimes a character can be really good but not have to bring their tactics card with them at the same time.
Maybe it turns out that grunts do actually cost threat. It's just that you can only buy them if, like, you can only put them in your squad if they're with the parent character, right?
Yeah, I think, I'm not 100% sure on this, I think they said that it were included in the threat cost of the parent character.
That really intrigues me then, because, like, it feels like multiple parent characters would just be bad. Right?
Well, you'd be losing some value, wouldn't you? But, you know, you already lose some value on some characters. If you take Kingpin in Spider-Foes, you're already losing some value in that leadership ability, right? So there are already situations where you can take characters and not be able to use their full potential of the card.
Not having them at their optimum level. But this is true.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, like, once again, we're going to have to wait until we get more details as to, like, how integral they are to how Fury works, right?
Yeah. Well, and also, I think we're not really going to know until we get visibility of the next couple of characters that are potentially going to have grunts as well, because standalone by himself, you can always take them. But it's not a problem, until
once we get like the DC Universe crossover, and we've got like Jim Gordon with the GCPD.
I really don't think that one is going to be happening.
Well, yeah, like AMG is just going to absorb Night models, and then they're going to start making a DC game.
So, Quinn, let's then go into the pack itself in a little bit more detail. So, first of all, Quinn, I want to just talk about Nick Fury's actual model.
Oh, he's a bad motherfucker, isn't he?
He's so good. It's such a good model. I love the fact that he's got the trench coat on, but then he's also got the sort of battlefield shield armor
It's
underneath.
very much like a merging of like MCU and comics, right?
Yeah, very much so.
MCU Fury, you think, he's got the trench coat, he's got the turtleneck, right? That's effectively all you need to do in Nick Fury cosplay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe an eye patch. I also think that he looks battle ready. Like he doesn't look like he's just sat in a helicarrier dishing out orders. He is on the field and he's ready to kick some ass. Basically, I think is what he's doing. So super happy with that one. Quinn, onto, and again, I nearly called them minions then, but onto the grunts, the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Obviously, we're getting 3 of them on a medium base. We've now got new tactical things to stand on, apparently. So rope has now been added into the list of tactical things.
That one dude on the Facebook group who has really, really unhealthy bowels. They look like poo.
Yeah, I really don't know what he was doing.
That needs to see a doctor, pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. But what are your thoughts on the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents then, in terms of their look and feel?
I really like them. I especially like the pole dancing one. He's fun.
That is quite good. Yeah, that's a really easy conversion right there.
Yeah,
isn't it?
like you just change like the base they're on to be like in a strip club, and then like the other two are like his backing dancers.
This is true.
One of them's like the bouncer, and the other one's like the manager of the club.
So one other thing I've noted as well, Quinn, is that this is CP55. So another gap that we had where, I mean, God knows what happened with their release schedule and release order, because it's like spin a dartboard and what are we going to release next? Right,
I mean, the
78.
You say that, but like typically when we see a new mechanic introduced to the game, it tends to be sort of a group of things that have that mechanic, right?
This is true. Yeah, so this is true.
Whilst Fury might have been CP55, that doesn't necessarily mean he was meant to release alongside the other things, like in that grouping of numbers, right?
I often see it as the numbers are actually almost like their own internal numbers. This is the order in which we created new things.
This, right? Yeah. Nick Fury was the 55th pack that we started working on, and I'm trying to think of a pack number off the top of my head. Like, I think Black Panther's pack number 2.
No, that's going to be MODOK and Hulk, I think, isn't it?
Oh, right, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they are a thing, yeah. So, Quinn, so character pack contents, let's just quickly run through it. So we've got the Nick Fury miniature. We've got the one S.H.I.E.L.D. agent miniature. So they are, it's one basically miniature. 3 characters, but 1 miniature. 2 bases. We all know that one's a lie. Nobody has ever got only the number of bases they need in Marvel Crisis Protocol. I don't know what is your draw like, Quinn? Because this is currently my tub of spare bases.
I mean, we should have the exact same amount technically.
Technically, yes. Probably not, because I've redone a couple in the past.
Up a couple of bases in my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 character stat cards. So as we already said, whilst they're going to be attached to Nick Fury himself, they're going to have their own
independent thing, right?
Own stat card. Absolutely. 1 affiliation card, which we already knew. 10 team tactics cards, Quinn. 10. And we're going to play a game in a little bit, which is, can we guess what the hell they are? Which will it'll be a really interesting one when we go back. I know. It's crazy.
That's the maximum number Aaron can count to. If they start doing more than that, he's fucked.
So, I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And then lastly is 8 tokens. So not too many tokens in there.
Yeah, unlikely that any of these cards are going to have associated tokens.
So obviously affiliation card, S.H.I.E.L.D, right? We knew that one. Let's have a look at these team tactics cards, Quinn. So number 1 is called Eye in the Sky. Now we spoke about this earlier, and you had quite a quite an interesting thought on this, didn't you, in terms of what you thought it could be?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be sort of one of those cards that you put down and it's sort of active for a round, a la magnetic refraction or something akin to that. And effectively, it's going to mean that you don't need line of sight to characters to target them, potentially.
Yeah.
Either that or it just means that, like, you know, enemies don't benefit from cover this round. So, like, it's going to be some sort of, like, surveillance thingy where they're like, oh, by the way, Nick, there's a dude behind that truck. And he's just like, bow, bow, bow.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, that feels good. Feels thematic. Because it's, yeah, like you say, it's an eye in the sky, right? It's relaying information to them that they otherwise wouldn't be able to have. Therefore, it can overcome some of the issues that they may have faced. So, negating cover, negating stealth feels like it's probably the two most obvious ones. Not needing line of sight. I mean,
it feels weird to be able to shoot a gun in a straight line and not need line of sight.
Yeah, unless the idea is that you can shoot through things, but then even so, I'm not sure.
Like, line of sight's always been a little bit abstract in this game.
It really has, yeah, it really has. Next one, Quinn, Helicarrier Strike. My thoughts on this one is we're going to get something akin to Helios laser bombardment. Maybe not quite as powerful in terms of, you know, a dice per power, but I think it could be something, you know, maybe something that's unlimited range, right? So you can have somebody on a back point, spend some power, and it does a 6 dice physical attack on somebody with an explosion damage or something like that.
I mean, my idea for this is that there's going to be a helicarrier miniature, and this is going to be its only way of attacking, and it's going to have to get into range 2 of someone, and it's just going to go BAM!
So, Helios style laser bombard. But I mean, what do you think on a serious note? What do you think with the kind of, because I feel like you don't need the range if it's coming from a helicarrier sort of thing.
What do you mean on a serious note? It's a helicarrier punching someone. No, it's clearly some sort of attack card for like S.H.I.E.L.D characters to use, right? Like that's just what that is. Like it'd be interesting to see whether, like, depending on how the mechanics of the agents work, whether like every time Fury brings one in, they're like equipped in a certain way, and therefore bring in.
Oh, okay.
So like, you know, you bring in the S.H.I.E.L.D agent, and this one has like, you know, the little targeting computer, and like, you know, they get to use that card and like bring that into your hand, and you use that with them, and then once they go, you bring in another lot that have like, I don't know, like some sort of like comms array or something.
What about? I'm just going to throw this out here, guys. This is mid-conversation about team tactics cards, but I want to loop back a second and talk about Nick Fury's leadership. What about if Nick Fury's leadership is he can take 10 tactics cards in his game, and he's able to bring each of his tactics cards, and that's kind of their play style. Is
something like S.H.I.E.L.D affiliated tactics cards don't count to your hand size or something like that.
Or potentially something like that. Yeah.
Because then, anyway, like, obviously you balance it because you make the S.H.I.E.L.D cards obviously a lot weaker.
Yes.
But then you've got the whole thing of like, well, I'm going to take 5 really good generic cards plus my 5 S.H.I.E.L.D cards and just go bow bow bow.
We'll see. We will see. Reposition. I think there's a couple of options for this one, Quinn. It could be a straight up Rainbow Bridge. 3 people, pay 3 power and can move 3 sort of thing. I liked what you said earlier with actual objectives. Maybe even...
That wasn't for that.
Oh, was it not?
It was sit rep.
Oh, okay.
That makes way more sense.
It does. So reposition, I think it's going to be pay some power, move. Maybe not even pay the power and move.
It might be S.H.I.E.L.D assemble.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a bump in the night for everyone. It could be one character can move 3.
There are a myriad of options it could be, but I think we're fairly certain it's some sort of reposition.
Yeah, I think it's going to be moving something to a different position that it was in. I think is a fair one there.
I would not bet against that outcome.
Defensive prototype, and I think this is now starting to lean into, isn't it, the fact that these are just people, okay? In the same way that Hawkeye is just a person and Black Widow is just a person, but what they are...
In the Kingpin is just a person.
In the Kingpin, yeah. But it's the fact that they are highly trained, but for S.H.I.E.L.D., it's the tech that they've got access to, isn't it? That's their differentiation, which is, again, leaning me towards that they can take more tactics cards thing could be, because they've got access to more tech, could be a thing. Defensive prototype feels like it's going to be, a defensive piece of tech when they're taking damage, count blanks or something along that line.
Yeah, maybe it'll be like give a character invulnerability for a round.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that could be pretty good. Cool, Quinn. On to the next one, Battlefield Medicine. It's going to be a healing card of some sort. They have to make it different. My thought is this will be, and we haven't actually gone through and discussed which ones would and wouldn't be affiliated, but I feel like this is affiliated. Yeah. They're not going to, release a card to be immediately put on the restricted list. So, be interesting to see what they do.
They have released Indomitable.
That is true. Yeah, I don't think it's game breaking though, is it?
Straight on the restricted list. It's just brace.
Yeah, is it?
It's like brace and climbing gear combined, but slightly more specific. It's like pretty good.
Yeah, it only stops one of them though, doesn't it? Like the other one, I suppose it's a little bit different.
How sad are you going to be when, someone Indomitables do you know who I am?
Well, I'm not, because I don't play Juggernaut anymore, do I?
Oh no! Oh.
But yeah, so I think it's going to be an affiliated card. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Battlefield Medicine. Is it going to be something that one thing we've not spoken about, as you mentioned, Quinn, is, is it going to be something the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents can do, right? Are they going to have these sort of cards? Are they going to be within one and just heal a character up? Or these characters are probably going to be made up of, 3 threat and below, who are going to make up the bulk of the S.H.I.E.L.D. army. So, is it a field dressing with a heal included in it, or something crazy like that?
I do like the idea of these agent specific cards, just because I find it really funny that it takes 3 S.H.I.E.L.D. agents to carry a fucking first aid kit.
How many S.H.I.E.L.D. agents does it take to carry a first aid kit? Yeah, the old joke.
3, and one of them's Maria Hill.
Not Maria Hill. Hard reset. I mean, this feels like a remove an activator token, right?
Ooh.
Like they're resetting their turn. They're having another go. A la difficult to please or that sort of thing.
Huh. I thought that might be maybe objective based in some way.
What about if it is just like a deadly virus, but if you pull it off, you take all of the VPs from your opponent, you go hard reset, you're back at 0.
Oh, you're on 15.
Because you would have to you would have to say motherfucker, because it's Sam Jackson as well. So
yeah, it's the correct Nick Fury, the other Nick Fury, and if anyone argues with me, fuck you.
Yeah, he's definitely my Nick Fury. So I don't know. That was my thought process, was that hard reset, because we've seen it with, obviously, difficult to please is one of them. The Cosmic Invigoration, is it from
Cosmic Invigoration from S.H.I.E.L.D, Book of Cagliostro from
Book of Cagliostro. I think there's those 3 now.
Yeah. I mean, all you got used to basically do that, but isn't a thing anymore. I thought it might be some sort of thing that lets you interact with objectives as many times as you want that round, or more than once, because you're resetting whatever the thing is, right? So you can heal 2 off an extremis rather than 1 or something like that. It's very niche, and I don't think it's good enough to be a card.
That's yeah, and then maybe just take pay 3 power and get rid of an activator token is probably too good, but again, it could be.
Sounds a bit good, but equally like.
But if it's that Shield agent needs to, in my head, this sort of Shield agent minion is going to kind of move around the board and just do things, not necessarily contribute to the battle. But
Well, yeah, because like I mean, Shield agents typically like when you see them in anything, and when I say anything, I mean anything other than comics because I don't read comics, just can't speak with authority on them. Like typically they're running around in the background doing shit, and they're not typically
other than the named ones
with a fucking Glock.
Yeah, other than the named characters, absolutely yes. That's why I feel like a lot of these could be better than what they are. But it's if it's only that one, if it's only the Shield agents that can go and do a hard reset, then it's less good. It's still good, but it's it's not as good as what it could be. Sitrep, you said earlier what you thought this could be, didn't you, around objective tokens?
Yeah, like I mean, obviously a sitrep is looking at what situation you're really going. Okay, we need to do this, 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 and this, right? I was thinking it might be some sort of card that you play that lets you move all of the secure tokens range 1, which is ludicrously good, but like that feels very Shield to me.
It does feel very Shield. I think I like the idea of it. I don't know if it would be all tokens.
Yeah, it might just
you'd have to be one, and I think
maybe you make it 1 and then allow it to be a range 2 placement of the token rather than range 1.
And I think something that stops it from being a turn 1 play. I don't think we're going to see cards that you get to play turn 1.
Be allowed to be a turn 1 thing because otherwise, like Criminal Syndicate, if they take Mysterio and fucking Crossbones, just cry because 2 of their characters can't get on the midline.
Yeah. So I think
they can get on the midline, but then there's nothing there when they get there.
Or your opponent's Sinister Traps, and Sinister Traps a D, and you move it back towards their entire backline, and it just explodes and kills everyone. Would be quite good. But yeah, I like that. I do like that. Life model decoy. Now,
Nick Fury.
Do you think that's what it's going to be?
It might not necessarily be for Nick Fury, but it's going to be like the life model decoys are just like beep boop robots, right?
Just beep beep. Yeah, I mean, they're exactly what it says. They're decoys, right?
Exactly. So it's like I was about to do a terrible German accent, but I thought otherwise. But
I was thinking
being like, "I have you now, Fury," and like shooting him in the head, and then it's just like sparks and like wires, and then Nick Fury's behind him, like, "No, you don't."
Well, I was thinking more something along the lines of rather than Age of Ultron, which obviously brings him back from the dead and things, is that it acts almost as like a exceptional healing card, or but with a little kicker on there in that you do so you reduce the damage to 1, but you get to make the retaliate attack. So making it that little bit better. So Red Skull walks up and tries to punch Nick Fury. Obviously, the decoy gets deployed. The decoy takes the damage, maybe even no damage, but the decoy takes all the damage, and Nick Fury can sidestep and then just, whatever it is he's going to do to Red Skull.
I think it'd be less likely to see a retaliatory strike and more likely to see like sort of a range 2 placement. In
That's
sort
it,
of
yeah,
way of being like, he was standing over there all along. Ooh, Nick Fury, isn't he cool?
I'd like all 3. I don't think we're going to get all 3, but I think takes all the damage and then moves himself it doesn't feel overpowered, but it still feels quite nice, doesn't it? Especially to use on your leader, who you want to keep in the game for longer. Yeah, that feels like it could be quite.
If it's specific to Fury, it can definitely be Age of Ultron. If it's just a Shield generic card of like, Shield affiliate character can use this card. Bam! That they were never there. Like that might be a bit different.
Yeah. We'll have to see. The Initiative is the next one. I mean, is this the Criminal Syndicate card where you pay 10 power?
Immediately, my brain went to 2 things. It went to all according to plan and being like, oh, the Initiative that I now have, or like because the Initiative in the MCU is all like the Avengers Initiative, right?
Yes. Actually, yeah. Okay.
I don't know how that relates to that, but like that's
What, you're mid-game and you do a Mr. Sinister-esque, but instead of it being a cloning bank, the helicarrier just drops New Steve down in the middle of the battlefield. Like,
Steve just shows up. He's like, "All right, Jerry."
but you've obviously, every time it happens, you have to play the theme tune. Dun,
Oh yeah,
dun,
like
dun, dun.
no, not that one. You have to do like the Portals theme.
Oh, we're
The
going
one
for
with, like,
portals.
really, like high string, and then you have to go on your left, and then like Sam comes in.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that.
No, but like that would be funny.
It would be interesting, wouldn't it, to see what that is, because it could be a lot of things, couldn't it? In terms of, is it the Avengers Initiative? Because that's the initiative, isn't it, in the movies? Or
That's immediately what it evoked in my mind.
yeah,
So,
or is it, I now have the initiative? You know,
Yeah.
the upper hand,
look at me.
the taking
I have the
priority.
initiative
Look
now.
at me, I'm the initiative now. And then the Shield mobile. What?
No, I don't want it. I don't want it.
Long move. Like, pay 2, do a long move. Pay 3, do a long move. Like,
I mean, what? Like just a shit in like extreme conditioning.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the Shield mobile is. The Shield mobile
It's one of
something?
their flying cars.
Is it the red one?
I think that it's just a generic thing because they all have those flying cars. I think that's just the generic term for them.
Okay,
I don't think there's a specific shield mobile
right.
necessarily.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look now, and I can't find anything that is, like a Batmobile. Obviously, that everyone knows what the Batmobile is, but yeah, I can't find anything that is a Shield mobile as such. So,
So shield mobile, I think, is the flying cars that they use, right? So there's like kind of two things that tells you, right? Like it might involve flight in some way, like giving someone flight because they're in a flying car.
yeah.
Makes sense. And like, assumedly, they go faster than a person walk.
Well, yeah, you'd think that,
Like
wouldn't you?
that whole long move idea you had makes sense as well. I'm wondering whether this will be like one of those repeatable tactics cards. Of like,
Oh, okay. So it goes
you
back
pay,
into
like,
your hand.
yeah, like if you're shield affiliated, you keep getting this back in your hand, and then like it's some sort of thing where like either it's an out of activation placement that doesn't cost actions, which obviously means it wouldn't be a long move because that'd be stupid.
Yeah, I mean that
Like,
would be ridiculous. Yeah.
Like maybe it's like a medium move that you get for like 2 or 3 power on a character, and like they have flight during it, so they can go over a building, and then like it comes back into your hand every round, and like you can still it just lets you go around the board, or whether it's going to be some sort of like weird attack card somehow.
It just seems strange in a game that, yes, has vehicles, but they are terrain, right? I think the only vehicle in the game right now is Ghost Rider's motorbike, Ghost Rider's motorcycle.
The only one that isn't terrain, yes.
Yeah, I think it's the only vehicle in the game, isn't it? That's not terrain. We don't get something in this box that represents the shield. Because if I've got a card that's called Shield Mobile, and I play this card, I want it to be like I want it to be like Kit turning up, picking me up, and then dropping me off from Knight Rider. But I want the model to go with it. You absolute young person. It just doesn't.
Am I reminding you of your mortality again?
Yeah,
right?
this is
Sorry.
it. Yeah, no, this one just seems weird. It feels like it's going to be a move, but yeah,
like, as weird as it is, like once again, kind of like the initiative, like the name is evocative of a thing, and it's just a question of how you translate that thing into the game, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So lastly then, Quinn, let's look at, because I always like to do these because they always put in related items into each character pack. Now there's 2 in there that we would expect to see. Okay, so Black Widow, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hawkeye. No surprises that we would expect to see not only Black Widow, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but also the original Black Widow in there as well.
The good Black Widow, yeah.
The good Black Widow, yeah, and Hawkeye as members of the S.H.I.E.L.D. affiliation, right? I think they're almost, I'd put my house on it, I think, in terms of they will be in that affiliation. So Quinn, the third one is an interesting one because we just spoke about how we thought S.H.I.E.L.D. was going to be full of non-superpowered individuals, at least initially. Now, there are people within S.H.I.E.L.D. who have been, who have superpowers in the past. Quake, who's appeared on the tactics cards already, was a high-ranking member of S.H.I.E.L.D. Spider-Woman was. She-Hulk. So She-Hulk has been a member of S.H.I.E.L.D., but going back to our thoughts on how they're going to play, I think in our head they were a spam list, right? That's how they
were
would
going to be like a swarm faction.
Yeah, that's how they would be played. But then, and this is no guarantee that She-Hulk is part, is in the S.H.I.E.L.D. affiliation,
it's just
right?
Typically, these related items are in fact related in
Related,
some way.
yeah, exactly. So, interesting to see if she will be in there. I think it changes the dynamic of that affiliation completely.
I mean, like, S.H.I.E.L.D. always had the potential of being one of the biggest factions in the game, right?
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
S.H.I.E.L.D. has worked with a lot of people, maybe not on a constant basis, but like, they give out S.H.I.E.L.D. memberships about as freely as they give out fucking Avengers ID cards, right?
Yep. Well, as we'll see on when the next one turns up as well, which is Taskmaster.
Yeah, old Nick Fury, not got many scruples when it comes to who he recruits.
I mean, he will recruit anyone basically, as we know. But I mean, he is also a former member of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't really know if he was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent as such, but he's definitely been part of S.H.I.E.L.D. But it's just interesting that they picked those two alongside Black Widow and Hawkeye. So Quinn, overall, I'm super excited about Nick Fury and his Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's going to be really interesting who is affiliated, who's not affiliated. I'm sure there are going to be people that complain when their favourite S.H.I.E.L.D. person isn't affiliated, but again, it's balance. And then who they release in the future, because I don't think this is going to be an isolated release.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're going to have to get Spider-Woman because she's been on a fair few cards, right? She's on
the Air Force card, yeah.
Like, she's on a few things, so she's probably showing up. So that's going to be like a Web Warriors S.H.I.E.L.D. dual release.
Yeah.
And then, like, we can get actual Maria Hill instead of Maria Hill on a 50mm base. Like, you can get Quake, you can get, like, loads of people, right?
Yeah, they've got the potential, haven't they, to release S.H.I.E.L.D. affiliated characters that are then, as you say, affiliated with the people. Quake's she's an Inhuman. As you say, I can never remember her actual name, Spider-Woman. Is it Jessica somebody? Yeah. She'd obviously be Web Warriors. We would assume she'd be Air Force as well, just because she's on the card. So, yeah, really interesting to see what they do.
You went with the card reasoning. I went with she's a woman in this game reasoning.
She is a good woman in this game. Just like you are a bad person in this game. You enter Cabal. You are a good woman. You're in Air Force, basically. Quinn, that is it for the MCP news / rumours / everything else. We've sort of bundled it all in together this week. So on to the weekly painting competition then, Quinn. And we had not as many entries this time, but it was Christmas. We kind of knew that there wouldn't be. So we've picked two out. We've got one winner and then a honourable mention. So the honourable mention of the week is Crash, who I believe was the winner from the previous week with his Hulk. So this week it was OG leaders. So it was Steve, Captain America Steve, and Red Skull. And we put out there we wanted just a single picture of them two side by side. We got some really good ones, but I think Crash did a really good job, particularly on Red Skull on the OSL. It's heavier than what I would normally do, but it seems to work with the sort of. it's not comic book style like we've seen from other people, but almost comic book style. I think it works. It works really nice.
Yeah, it's sort of in that style of like maybe more recent comic art of it being a bit more realistic and grounded looking.
Yeah.
But like, it's still got that sort of comic book feel to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And then the winner for the week is Sure Thing. So I believe a second win for him. So we maybe have to put an extra entry in the prize draw for you, Sure Thing. Just really, really nice paint job. Classic cap, classic Red Skull. OSL has done really, really nicely. The pop and the sort of shine, everyone tries to get that shine on Cap's shield, but he's managed to do it really well.
Lighting on the shield.
Yeah, he's done it really well. Quinn, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it looks real good.
I also like the bases as well. I've just noticed the sort of stonework on the base.
Marbly, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. But yeah, really, really good job. You are our winner of the week. Again, you don't win anything, but you get put into our Wall of Fame, so your picture will go up in the Wall of Fame. But also, everyone who entered this week will be included in the prize draw as well. Quinn, I got to pick last week's, or we say week, it felt like a long, long time ago. So it falls to yourself now to pick this next week's topic or theme. Let chaos ensue, because that's normally what happens. But what would you like to go for this time?
I mean, I've really been enjoying Hawkeye. Yeah.
Okay.
Hawkeye was a pretty good show. So I'm going to say any character that appears in Hawkeye.
Oh, okay. So that's...
And now, obviously... Hawkeye spoilers for those of you that haven't seen Hawkeye.
I mean, it's far enough in now. It's far enough in.
That includes, obviously, Clint Barton, funnily enough.
Clint Barton.
And that includes Big Willie.
I will also allow Quinn, because there are a couple of nice 3D printed versions of Lady Hawkeye. Yelena as well, but also Kate Bishop as well. So
I am also going to broaden this to include anyone that appeared in the Rogers musical. Because there had to be some element of chaos.
Oh, dear Lord. Yes.
But
including...
my reputation, what could I say?
Including Ant-Man.
Yeah, Ant-Man, who was definitely there.
Well, Quinn.
I mean, yeah, he was there because of time travel.
Was he there? So are we now in a new timeline within the MCU? Have things changed? So for how the MCU is now, Ant-Man was present. I'm just throwing it out there as a theory. All we know is that Back to the Future was bullshit. That's the only thing we know about time travel. So what we're saying then is we've got Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Yelena, Kingpin, and then any of the Avengers from the first movie, plus plus Ant-Man, plus Loki, basically. Yeah,
Loki was also there, so yep, Loki's included. I can't think of anyone else that was included.
Do you know when he said, I've really been enjoying Hawkeye, I thought, he's just going to pick Hawkeye. It's quite thematic. We've just finished the Hawkeye series. We've just got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. announced. So that makes sense, but no, absolutely not. Descends into chaos as usual. Guys, that'll be it for us this week. I hope you...
Whoa. We've got, just roll better. I feel like we have to include your Magneto from our Brotherhood off.
Oh, why is it always me? Why have two of these now?
Roll better.
Two of these now have been really bad because they're mine.
Well, yeah, and both of them have involved Magneto, because we've had your Magneto being terrible in our Brotherhood off, and then we've had your Magneto getting one shot by Kraven.
Yeah.
And if we'd been doing this show longer, then we would also have that time your Magneto got Dormammu'd.
Yep, that is also a thing that happened. Basically, my Magneto just doesn't roll very well. I think
I might have done you a mercy by stopping you playing Brotherhood.
So for anyone that doesn't know, me and Quinn we were making a video, Quinn, weren't we? And we just had a little banter and said, we need a brotherhood off. And then every time we spoke about it, the stakes rose that little bit more to the point where the loser, me, isn't going to play Brotherhood for 12 months. So I won't be playing Brotherhood for the whole of 2022, which makes me sad because my boy Juggernaut's coming out. Rogue is coming out as well, who I firmly believe is going to be in Brotherhood. So we had a Brotherhood off, and Magneto did a area attack, hitting, I want to say 4 of your characters.
He hit my entire team, and I think he did
entire team, and did 1 damage.
1 damage, yeah, I think so. And I think he did 1 damage on one of them and no damage on the other one.
Yes.
Because he did 2 of the AoEs throughout the course of that game. And
2 of the AoEs, and they both just whiffed.
You would have done more damage by throwing the fucking construct.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it was bad. I still refuse to sign up to Quinn's Skillshare course. It's a ridiculous amount of money, therefore I will not be participating. But it did happen. And on that note, we now have our merch store live. There is our infamous now Just Row Better t-shirt, aka Quinn Duggan's t-shirt. So yeah, head over to the merch store and check those out. It supports the channel. It helps us carry on doing what we're doing. And I'm looking to upgrade what we've got equipment-wise so we can do some more live battle reports. You guys have been asking for live battle reports. So I need to build some sort of cage that I can put Quinn in before I let him anywhere near me. But yeah, so that is the Row Better of the week. It was horrendous. I'm now playing Guardians. I'm a Guardians player now. I'm 5-1 at the moment.
It's really interesting seeing how different people like manage with masking pain, isn't it? Everyone at home. For any of the psychologists out there, I think it'd be a very interesting study to do.
Probably would be. It probably would be. But I'm really enjoying Guardians, Quinn, actually. Really enjoying playing them. Very, very different play style. You know, I said to you before, didn't I? I'm used to playing for long enough. I played 20 threat, 3 tall, with 9 threat Thanos, Scarlet Witch, and Magneto, and had a lot of success with it. So going from that to, did I play 7 wide or 8 wide the other night at 18 threat?
I think it was 7 wide.
7 wide, yeah, which is just unheard of for me. Yeah. Unheard of. But really enjoying it. Really enjoying it. And I'd recommend it to anyone actually if they've got an affiliation that they just play that one. I'd recommend them going and trying it out. Aaron Collier, as we know, Web Warrior Protocols himself, is going to be dumping Web Warrior.
Don't you mean Convocation Protocols?
Well, Convocation Protocols, indeed. As he even said, he'll try Convocation out. But
I mean, if I really wanted to, I could rename his blog to that. I have the power.
Excellent. But guys, we'll leave you with that one. Let us know down in the comments below, what are your thoughts on, in particular, I'm interested in the whole Nick Fury S.H.I.E.L.D. thing. There are people that love Minions. There are people that hated the idea of Minions. It's been bubbling around for a little while now, and I've seen good and bad comments. I think the way that we think they've done it, where it's attached to a particular affiliation or a character, is the best way. We don't want loads of 1-threat characters running around. So I think it's probably a good way of doing it. But let us know down in the comment section below. If you haven't joined the Discord yet, what the hell are you doing? It's free. Quinn, it's free. And people aren't joining it. It's crazy. But join the Discord.
I mean, in all fairness, on that Discord, they might have to engage with you. And I can see why that's a deterrent.
To be fair, that is true.
I mean, I'm only doing this because of the community service court orders.
Oh, you little shit. Guys, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, bye for now.
See ya.